Hey guys, tonight we glide into a dream of extraordinary calm, through clouds brushed in silver, across floating terraces, and among the timeless monks of the Himalayan sky. You'll journey into places not mapped, where the air tastes like lavender fog and gravity has forgotten its job. This is not your average sleep story. It's a little surreal, softly magical, and just strange enough that you might not make it back from this dream the same person. But hey, no pressure. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. I love seeing our sleepy little global village unfold each night. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. A faint hum pulls you upward before you even realize you've left your bed. You don't remember standing, or floating, or choosing to drift, but there you are, rising softly, weightlessly, like a feather deciding to become mist. The world beneath is fading in lavender blue swirls, as if the night has dipped its fingers into the earth and started to stir. You're surrounded now by pale golden lanterns, each bobbing in silence, their tiny flames dancing behind thin rice paper like shy fireflies at a ball. One floats right up to you, close enough to warm your cheeks, and then drifts aside as if showing the way. Below, there's no ground, just layers of thick, fluffy clouds puffed up like steamed milk. You realize the mist is not cold. It's body temperature, maybe even soul temperature, soft and surrounding, like a sigh wrapped in a blanket. Somewhere far above, a chime sings once, long and deep, and all the lanterns pause. Then, just as quickly, they begin their drift again, slower this time, leading you higher into the clouds. And then you see it. The gate. It doesn't look like a gate at first, more like two enormous pine trees grown from opposing cliffs, their branches interlocking like fingers in prayer. But look closer. Their trunks glimmer faintly, as if dusted in starlight. You pass beneath the interwoven canopy and feel something inside you exhale. It's a quiet exhale, the kind that releases 100 tiny worries you didn't realize you were still holding. Grocery lists. Forgotten emails. That weird thing you said 3 years ago. Gone, evaporated in the golden mist. Ahead, terraces begin to form out of vapor. Broad, smooth stone slabs floating midair like lily pads in a bottomless pond. Each terrace glows gently from within, as though remembering the sun. You land, if you can call it that, on the first terrace, your bare feet touching down without a sound. The surface is warm and just a little springy, like moss that's been taught to behave itself. You look down and see no stone, only shimmering condensation and faint blue light, like the floor is made of cloud held together by belief. A figure appears. Not walks. Appears. 1 second the terrace is empty. The next, a monk stands 5 paces in front of you, his long silver robe trailing behind him, his eyes closed, his palms pressed together in silent greeting. His face is ageless. Not young, not old, just timeless. Like a lullaby that never ends. He opens his eyes and smiles, then gestures forward. No words. Just a glance that says, "You're not early. You're not late. You're exactly dreaming when you should be." You follow. You float more than walk. The air here is rich with a scent like steamed jasmine and pine bark warmed by sun. And there's sound too, barely there, chimes dangling from thin strings tied to nothing visible, humming like a lullaby just out of reach. You pass a pond. Yes, a pond, in the sky. It ripples outward endlessly, despite having no edge and no bottom. A single koi swims in slow loops, leaving behind trails of shimmering dust, as if painting something invisible only the stars could read. But not yet. That comes later. You and the monk reach the second gate, smaller this time. A circle of feathers, suspended midair, each one longer than your arm and curved inward, forming a perfect halo. You pass through it, brushing one feather accidentally, and hear a soft laugh, not yours, not the monk's, but the feathers. Or maybe the air's. Hard to tell. Everything here is gentle. Even your own thoughts begin to slow. They don't chatter anymore. They stretch and yawn, settling in like cats finding the warm spot on a pillow. You feel the monk's presence beside you again. His voice, barely audible, echoes not in your ears but in your chest. Lantern mist always finds the lost. You don't feel lost. But then again, maybe that's what it means to be truly found. As the first section of this journey settles like dew upon your mind, you glance once more at the sea of lanterns behind you, some still floating, others fading out, like dreams you've just barely remembered. You turn forward. The next terrace waits, where clouds are swept by robed figures in silence, and the sky begins to breathe. You take your first full breath on the second terrace, and the air here hums softly in your lungs, as if each inhale is being gently tuned by an invisible string instrument. The sky is wider here, somehow, paler, more translucent, like it's been thinned with mountain dew and morning sighs. Monks are sweeping the clouds. You blink once, twice, but there's no mistaking it. Robed figures in pale shades of dove gray and snow lavender glide silently across the terrace, holding long-handled brooms made of wind-bent reeds. With each elegant stroke, the low swirling clouds part like curtains, revealing intricate spiral patterns beneath, carved directly into the air. Yes, the air has patterns. Circles within circles, like the wind's been doodling in secret. The monks aren't cleaning so much as guiding, coaxing the mist into sacred shapes, like choreography meant only for sleeping minds. The whole place pulses with the rhythm of deep time breath, sweep, swirl, silence. One monk turns toward you, her face framed by wisps of silver-white hair that floats like seagrass in slow tide. She doesn't speak, but lifts her broom and traces a slow circle in front of you. As she does, a breeze curls up from the ground and wraps around your ankles, not cold, just present. Curious. It smells faintly of sandalwood, and the tiniest pinch of ginger tea left too long in the sun. The monk nods, as if pleased, then returns to her gentle guiding. The circle she left in the air lingers, glowing faintly, pulsing in and out with your breath. You step through it, and something in your body relaxes. Your shoulders, your jaw, even your thoughts go slack. You feel like butter that's been left out on a windowsill. Overhead, a bird-shaped cloud coasts past, flapping lazily once before dissolving into feathers made of fog. One feather lands on your nose and disappears with a soft plip sound, like a kiss from the sky. To your right, a staircase appears. No railings. No supports. Just a curling ribbon of polished obsidian cloud, suspended in place as if the wind itself had learned origami. You hesitate, because it's quite a lot of stairs for someone whose only recent ambition was to fall asleep. But the monk is beside you again, now holding a second broom, this one shorter, glowing softly at the handle. She places it in your hands with reverence. "Everyone must sweep something away," she whispers. Then she turns and vanishes into the fog, leaving you with the stair ribbon and a broom humming faintly in your hand. With a shrug and a sleepy smile, you take the first step. The stairs don't creak or wobble. They purr. Each footfall releases a faint vibration, like stepping on a cat's belly when it's in an unusually forgiving mood. With each step, the broom you carry seems to grow warmer, more familiar. At the seventh step, you suddenly remember an old dream, one where you were sweeping a garden of falling stars while the moon narrated bedtime poetry. Weirdly specific, but strangely comforting. The higher you climb, the more the sky brightens, not in color, but in clarity. The blue deepens to something less hue and more emotion. A kind of velvet peace that wraps around the bones. 1,000 invisible wind chimes tinkle in unison with every few steps, but only when you don't look for them. At step 39, a monk appears beside you, this one shorter, with a long silver beard that trails behind him like smoke. He doesn't say anything either. Just hums. A note you recognize but can't name. A lullaby that never had lyrics. He holds out his palm, and you place the broom there without hesitation. He bows deeply, then twirls once, and poof, vanishes, leaving behind the scent of hot rice and old parchment. You're at the top now. The third terrace opens like a sigh, and the mist here is thinner, revealing broad plains of translucent marble that ripple like the surface of water, but only when you're not directly looking. Sky monks glide silently across the plain, their brooms replaced now with folded fans, which they use to guide the movement of clouds above, as though fanning invisible butterflies into formation. One cloud drifts lower than the rest and forms into the shape of a doorway, arched and glowing, held aloft by ropes of soft wind braided together like monk's hair. You pass through it instinctively. On the other side, a gust of laughter spins around you, not mocking, but light and citrusy, like someone who just heard a very good secret and wanted to share it without words. You smile, and your shoulders rise slightly, not from tension, but delight. A small flock of whispering dandelion seeds drift past your head, each carrying with it a faint sound, a bell, a breath, a poem. One lands on your shoulder, settles, and becomes a shimmer that you don't feel, but definitely remember. You're becoming a part of this place now. The lines between your body and the mist are softening. You walk, or perhaps drift, toward a half-circle of seated monks near the terrace's far edge. They are motionless, their palms resting on their knees, eyes closed, facing out into the cloud horizon. You join them, unsure whether you're meditating or napping or both. Time here doesn't move. It rests. And so do you. A long, contented breeze moves through the terrace, carrying with it a whisper in a language you feel rather than hear. You belong to the quiet now. And somehow you understand. The moment you breathe again, the air has changed. It's thicker here, sweet and warm, like honey swirled with steam. The terrace beneath you gently curves upward like a soft wave, guiding your steps forward even as you feel less inclined to move at all. Every step is like walking on air soaked in lullabies. You've arrived at the bellflower steps. They don't look like steps at first. The petals are so large, they seem like floor tiles carved from sunlight and pastel watercolor. They bloom beneath your feet one by one, opening as you approach, and curling shut behind you as if protecting your footprints from time. You reach down and brush your fingertips against a petal. It hums. Not like a mechanical thing, but like a creature that purrs when touched gently. It releases a scent that is somehow a memory, your grandmother's porch after summer rain, steamed barley tea, and the faraway scent of rain hitting warm stone. The steps spiral upward now, curving slowly like a seashell reaching toward the sky. You follow, your fingers grazing the fluttering edges of the petals. Somewhere far off, a flute is playing. Not loudly. Not perfectly. But like someone's playing just for themselves. And you? As you climb, the breeze thickens, turning into a honey wind, warm, sticky, sweet, slow. It slides over your skin, tugging at your hair like a lazy cat. You lift your hands and let the wind twine between your fingers, like golden syrup flowing upward. From above, a monk descends the steps in reverse, backwards, but not clumsy. He smiles like he knows you but can't quite place where from. Maybe a shared dream? A parallel nap? He offers you a flower, just one. A tiny bellflower, cupped in his palm, glowing faintly from the center. You accept it and tuck it behind your ear. The petals melt instantly into your skin like gentle light, leaving behind a warm, tingling sensation that slowly drips down your spine. You're officially part flower now. The monk winks and disappears behind a swirl of golden fog, which rises in lazy curls around your legs like warm bath steam. You pause and notice the wind again, not just brushing you but whispering. Actual words this time. You're doing nothing perfectly. It's not a critique. It's a compliment. You chuckle softly, and the clouds respond by puffing into tiny balloon shapes that bop playfully against your arms before drifting off again. This place, it responds to you like a dream made just for your particular kind of weird. Halfway up the steps, you see a series of wind chimes, long and elegant, strung between bamboo arches that don't seem to be connected to anything. They float. Freely. As if the chimes asked politely and the sky said yes. Each one plays a different note as you pass, in perfect harmony with your heartbeat. The bellflowers here are taller, nearly waist-high, and their petals curl towards you like arms offering a nap. You reach out to one, and it opens fully. Inside is a plush hammock of soft, golden fibers, glistening slightly with dew. You hesitate for all of 3 seconds before sinking into it. Oh. It's like lying on the soul of a sunrise. Your muscles, if they even still exist, begin to unwind into warm threads. Your breath slows. The wind hushes. Everything quiets to a level so soft it feels like being hugged by silence itself. Then, soft laughter. It doesn't come from a person, but from the petals. They rustle like giggling children, and as you sit up, you see them forming a trail, not of steps now, but a lazy meander through sky gardens blooming in every pastel shade known and unknown. You walk again, slower now. Heavier, but in a good way. As if gravity has turned into a soft blanket, just enough to keep you grounded, not enough to hold you down. The sky opens ahead. It's no longer just blue. Now it's violet mint, brushed with sleepy coral clouds that stretch like arms in a yawn. You hear something new, a voice. Low, melodious, like someone humming through the fabric of a dream. You follow it. It leads you to a low ridge lined with glass windcatchers. Each one spins slowly in the wind, throwing glimmers of soft light onto your cheeks. They aren't just decorations, they're memories. Yours? Maybe. You see flashes in their reflections, a bicycle, a thunderstorm, someone laughing with their head tilted back. Things you thought you'd forgotten but now find oddly comforting. Another monk is waiting for you, this one younger, perhaps, or maybe just carrying more laughter in his eyes. He's seated cross-legged on a petal-shaped platform, sipping tea from a bowl that seems to glow from within. He offers you some. The bowl is warm in your hands, but not hot. The tea smells like roasted chestnut, moonlight, and kindness. You sip. Oh, the flavor is indescribable. Not because it's complex, but because it tastes exactly like the feeling of being allowed to rest. You smile, and the monk grins like he's been waiting for you to get it. He clinks his bowl softly against yours, and the sound doesn't stop. It echoes out into the terrace, expanding like ripples in a sky pond. Birds emerge from the chime, each made of glowing light, each trailing soft melodies behind them like ribbon tails. They loop overhead and then scatter into sparkles, which gently fall like snow that never lands. The bellflower steps behind you begin to fold shut, petal by petal, like a book being lovingly closed. And the monk leans toward you and says, "You don't need to understand. You only need to feel." You don't reply. You just breathe. The air answers for you. The moment you take another step, the bellflowers sigh behind you, one long, collective exhale of farewell. The petals tremble lightly and then still, folding into the clouds like a curtain falling after the softest performance. The wind shifts. It curls in from the east now, cooler, more curious. It smells faintly of lotus leaves, rain caught in silk, and something else, something playful, almost citrusy. You feel it before you see it, movement, shimmer, something darting just at the edge of your gaze. A koi. Floating. Not in water but in air. A second one follows. Then another. A slow, graceful ballet of golden koi fish gliding through the open sky like birds who forgot to flap. Their fins trail soft streaks of glittering particles, like stardust but thicker, as if dreams have mass in this place. And why wouldn't they? The koi begin to orbit you lazily, like you're the center of their gravity now. They're not afraid. In fact, one nuzzles your arm gently, its scales warm and pulsing with a soft inner glow. It smells, bizarrely, like roasted barley and apple blossoms. You don't question it. You've long since stopped questioning anything here. A platform begins to materialize beneath your feet, clear, circular, and made entirely of levitating droplets. Yes, droplets, tiny spheres of water suspended in the air, holding you up as if the idea of falling simply never existed here. You look down and see reflections in each droplet. Not yours, at least not how you are now. One shows you as a child, covered in mud and joy. Another shows you curled up with a book in candlelight. Another, a moment you don't even remember, but that somehow feels like yours. The koi begin to swim upward now, and the droplets carry you with them. You rise. And rise. And rise. Past silk banners flapping lazily in invisible breezes. Past wind chimes shaped like tiny boats. Past a sleeping cloud that snores gently every few seconds and smells inexplicably like lavender custard. Eventually, you reach a terrace unlike the others, smaller, round, and tiled with obsidian black stones speckled with twinkling silver flecks, like someone poured night sky into the floor and left it to settle. In the center is a pond, perfectly still, suspended in air without edges or walls. Its surface is not water but glassy mist, reflecting nothing except peace. You step toward it. The koi follow. As your toes touch the edge, the pond responds, not with ripples, but with a low musical hum, like a cello being played from beneath the earth. A monk sits beside the pond, hunched over slightly, his long fingers curled around a tiny flute made of what looks like frozen breath. He lifts it to his lips and plays a single note. One long note. The koi scatter upward, looping and tumbling in joy, their glowing trails creating temporary constellations in the air. The music seems to shape them, guide them, almost like choreography set to memory. You sit down beside the pond, your knees just brushing the edge. It's warm. There's no breeze here, only stillness, dense, rich stillness. The kind that wraps around your mind and says, you can set everything down now. The monk opens his eyes, amber and soft. He doesn't speak, but gestures toward the pond. You lean over and peer in. And it's not your reflection you see, but every version of yourself that's ever longed for rest. You as a child curled on your parents' lap. You during the long commute, head against a cold window. You on nights when sleep refused to come. They're all here, gazing up with the same quiet wish. You don't cry. You sigh. And the pond sighs back. A koi returns and nudges your hand. You reach for it, and it stays. Its fins flutter slowly, like fans dipped in gold. It spins once and then guides your hand forward, into the pond. But you don't get wet. Instead, your fingers dissolve into soft light, rippling outward into the mist like ink in warm tea. You feel yourself being remembered by the water. Not scanned. Not judged. Just remembered. When you pull your hand back, the monk stands. He bows slightly, then places a single lotus petal on your palm. It glows faintly, a warm thrum of peace. Without words, you know what it means. You may carry this stillness with you. The koi begin to drift again, slower now, tails dragging lazily like sleepy comets. A breeze picks up. It lifts the lotus petal from your hand, not violently, just enough to carry it forward. You follow. The terrace dissolves behind you like fog forgetting its purpose. Ahead, another passage unfurls, this time a soft ramp woven from vines and laughter. You step onto it, and it cradles your feet like old memories. The koi do not follow this time. They bow, yes, bow, and swim upward into the dusk, their trails fading into warm stars. You're alone now. But not lonely. The air here carries whispers from nowhere. You were always allowed to rest, you just forgot where the door was. You smile without meaning to. And keep gliding forward. The path ahead narrows to a ribbon, floating freely in the open sky. It dips and weaves through clouds the color of almond milk, its edges trimmed with threads of gold that sway even though there's no wind. You tread carefully, not from fear, but from the reverent hush that surrounds this next terrace. Something here is ancient, so old, even time treads softly. A single banyan tree comes into view. But not any banyan. This one grows in midair. Its roots dangle like threads of spun silver, reaching down to nothing, twisting in slow motion like a giant's hair underwater. The branches stretch wide and lazy, forming a canopy that filters the light into golden-green mosaics across the air beneath it. Glowing fruits hang low, some the shape of teardrops, others like tiny lanterns. They sway gently even though the air is still. And the tree is whispering. Its voice is so soft it doesn't even reach your ears at first. You feel it instead in your chest, like a memory nudging its way forward. The words aren't in any language you know, but you understand them perfectly. They hum with old kindness. You approach slowly, and a low platform unfurls beneath the roots, shaped like a wide tea saucer. On it rests a kettle, not made of clay or iron, but of woven cloud and glass, filled with a silvery vapor that steams upward without fading. Around the kettle sit 4 small bowls, each one catching the steam and turning it into a different color: lavender, rose gold, moon blue, and sunlight peach. The tree whispers again, more clearly now. Drink with stillness. You sit, legs folded gently beneath you. One of the bowls floats toward your hands, the moon blue one. As your fingers wrap around it, the bowl hums faintly. It's warm, like holding a sleeping cat. You bring it to your lips. The vapor tea doesn't taste like anything, but it feels like everything. Like laughter held in cupped hands. Like the comfort of being held without being asked to speak. Like a long, needed nap that hugs you all the way down. Your eyelids flutter. Not from exhaustion, but from surrender. You're no longer trying to stay awake. In fact, you're not trying anything. You're just being. Another bowl floats up, this time the rose gold one, and the tree chuckles softly as you sip. The moment it touches your lips, the fruits above begin to glow brighter, pulsing softly in rhythm with your breath. Suddenly, a faint image forms in the mist beneath the banyan. A memory. It's blurry, not quite real. A version of you younger, sitting beneath a tree just like this, maybe in a past life, or a dream you forgot to remember. That you laughs at something an unseen friend says. That you looks calm. Free. The image drifts like fog on water, and the tree hums again. You've always returned here. Even before you knew the way. You lean back against one of the thicker roots that arcs behind you like a chair carved by nature's hand. It curves just so, supporting you perfectly, like it's been waiting centuries for your spine to find it. The tree's leaves rustle as if stirred by a story beginning. And then, out of nowhere, it speaks again, this time not in whisper, but in lullaby. Some say the moon here sings when it rains. Others say the rain sings to remind the moon it's still loved. But we all agree, the quiet listens best. You chuckle softly. That's a good one. You murmur, and the leaves flutter in delighted applause. Above, the glowing fruits begin to fall, not fast, not suddenly, but gently, as if exhaling. They descend in slow spirals, landing around you and bouncing once before melting into little pools of golden syrup. The syrup doesn't spread or stick, it simply absorbs into the platform, like nourishment returning to its source. The banyan sighs. You may ask one question, it says. You think. You breathe. Then you ask the question that's always been there, tucked just behind your thoughts. Why do I forget how to rest? The tree doesn't answer with words. Instead, one of its branches bends low, dipping into your lap. A single leaf detaches and floats upward, landing softly on your chest. You feel its weight, not physical, but emotional. Like it's anchoring you to your own stillness. Then the tree speaks again. You don't forget. You simply get loud. The words aren't a rebuke. They're gentle. Familiar. Like something a pillow would say if it could whisper back when your head sinks into it. You sit in silence, and the silence welcomes you like a long-lost sibling. Somewhere in the distance, wind chimes begin to ring again, but they're slower now. Lower. As if reminding you that you're not rushing anywhere. You sip the third bowl, lavender this time, and the mist around you thickens, curling up like a cat into your lap. A yawn escapes you. The tree laughs. Even the stars sleep between bursts of shine. You smile. Then lie back, eyes closing of their own accord. And above you, the banyan begins to hum a song too old to remember, and too soft to forget. You wake, or rather soften, into the next part of the dream, not sure when or how you left the banyan's lullaby behind. There's no jolt, no transition. Just a slow blending of silence into light, of hammock-cradled thoughts into motion. You're floating again. This time not through air or mist, but something gentler, like breath made visible. The space around you pulses with the steady inhale and exhale of an invisible giant. You're no longer above the clouds. You're inside them. The terrace beneath you takes shape with each breath you take. With every inhale, the platform swells upward, and with each exhale, it sinks, just slightly. The sensation is not disorienting, but deeply soothing, like being rocked to sleep in the cradle of the sky. You've arrived at the breathing terrace. Its surface looks like quilted fog stitched together by threads of starlight. When you press your foot down, it yields like memory foam, but warmer, like a freshly fluffed futon left out in the morning sun. A few monks are here too, though they appear as silhouettes made of shimmer, not quite visible. They move with exaggerated slowness, tending to the terrace like gardeners of atmosphere. One kneels, smoothing out a fold in the fog. Another lifts a breeze in her palm and folds it neatly into a cloud. You walk softly toward the center where a pile of woven cushions awaits. They rise and fall with the breath of the terrace, slow, steady, sacred. Each cushion is different. One is velvet moss green, another shimmers like liquid pearl, a third feels like the skin of a sun-warmed plum. You sink into them without choosing. The terrace adjusts to you. There's no need to shift or shuffle. It cradles your hips, curves around your spine, supports your neck like it's been dreaming of this moment all its life. You don't even realize you've sighed until the cushion underneath echoes it back. A monk appears at your side, holding a bowl of something that isn't quite incense, and not quite fog, more like memory, distilled and warmed. He waves it gently in front of your face, and it melts into a scent you didn't know you missed. The way new bedsheets smell the first time you lie in them. Safety. The monk hums a note that matches the rhythm of the terrace's breath. You find yourself humming along, not on purpose, but because your body knows the tune. The terrace exhales. And you let go. Of what? You don't know. But it doesn't matter. Something lifts from your chest, from your jaw, from your thoughts. A feather you didn't realize you were clenching finally floats free. Overhead, the ceiling of clouds begins to part, just slightly. A pale lavender sky peeks through, filled with slow-spinning suns the size of teacups. They orbit gently, casting pools of warm light that move like lullabies across the terrace. You reach out, and one of the lights rests on your hand. It's heavy in the best way, like a sleeping cat or a promise kept. It flickers once, then dissolves into your skin, and suddenly your whole arm tingles with the sensation of contentment. Another monk sits cross-legged in front of you now. He places a tiny stone in your palm. It's warm and glows faintly, like a sleepy ember. He doesn't speak, just nods toward your chest. You place the stone against your heart, and it disappears. Into you. You feel no weight, no pressure, only stillness, anchored and vast. A soft bell rings. Not near you. Not far. It's the kind of sound that could be coming from inside your own lungs. The monk finally speaks. Clouds don't worry about shape. Why should you? You laugh without thinking, low, soft, amused. The kind of laugh that bubbles out when someone says something so true it releases tension from your knees. Another breath from the terrace, deeper this time. Your body lifts slightly with it, then settles back down. It feels like being rocked by something impossibly old and endlessly patient. A silken voice, not quite a monk's, not quite your own, sings quietly from somewhere behind the cushions. Let your bones forget their edges. Let your thoughts lie flat like rice paper. Even time sleeps here. You do as instructed. Or maybe you already have. The terrace tilts slightly, and now you're drifting again, not walking or flying, just being carried. The fog beneath you rolls gently forward, like a soft conveyor belt built for dreams. You pass a lantern tree, its branches hung with orbs of flickering light, each containing what looks like a sleeping version of you. Different ages. Different moods. One version is reading under a blanket. Another is staring at the stars with peanut butter on their nose. Another, one you don't recognize, simply breathes, deeply and without worry. You pass them all, and they blink softly in rhythm with the terrace's breath. The fog thickens again. Not enough to obscure, just enough to blur the edges of your thoughts. The monk whispers one last time before vanishing into the mist. When the sky exhales, listen. It might be remembering you. You smile. Not a big smile. Just a contented one. The kind that says, I don't need to understand where I'm going, only that I'm being carried there by breath and peace and pillows of cloud. The fog releases you slowly, like a lover reluctant to let go. You emerge into the next terrace with the feeling of having been whispered to by sleep itself. Everything here is upside down, but not in a jarring way. In a way that makes sense in a dream, where the rules are made of feathers and rewritten mid-yawn. Welcome to the Garden of Gentle Gravity. The first thing you notice is the rain. But it's not falling. It's rising. Tiny droplets, glowing pale blue and soft green, float gently upward, as if gravity here is taking a short nap and letting the weather play freely. Each drop hums faintly as it drifts past, like it has somewhere to be, but no urgency at all. You step forward, and pebbles lift from the ground around your feet, bobbing lazily like corks in water. Your own toes feel slightly lighter, like your ankles have forgotten their job. You bounce gently with each step, not quite flying, not quite walking. Somewhere in between. Like you're wearing invisible moon shoes made of kindness. The garden stretches ahead in impossible curves. Paths loop through the air like ribbon candy, forming arches you can walk beneath, and bridges that lead nowhere in particular, but nowhere here is still somewhere. Lush moss climbs downward from the ceiling, and trees grow sideways, their branches coiling like the arms of a stretching cat. Their leaves shimmer in pastel gradients, mint, blush, lavender, each one shifting colors as it rotates slowly in place. And the air? It smells like warm rice pudding and the faint scent of books that have never been opened. You breathe in deeply, and your chest feels like a balloon being filled with ease. A monk floats by upside down, robes fluttering like jellyfish tendrils. He waves at you and continues onward, bouncing off a drifting log shaped like a question mark. You wave back, not at all concerned that your hair is starting to lift away from your shoulders. It's just part of the vibe here. You come across a pool, not filled with water, but soft marbles of light. They pulse gently under the surface, swirling in hypnotic spirals. A small sign next to the pool reads, "Wait if your thoughts feel too tight." You smile and step in. The lights part around your legs like silk being brushed by moonlight. Each movement you make causes a soft note to play, as if the pool is composing music from your presence. The tension in your forehead drips away like honey, and your shoulders suddenly feel like they've been forgiven. Above, a floating lantern slowly descends and opens like a blooming flower. Inside is a feather made of silver mist. It glides downward and gently lands on your palm. The moment it touches your skin, a memory resurfaces, not of something you did, but something you felt, the comfort of being carried. Of being allowed to relax so deeply that your dreams did the walking for you. The feather dissolves, and a voice whispers, "Down is just as sacred as up." You exit the pool and feel your body lighter, looser, like it has less mass and more meaning. As you walk further, you notice that your steps make no sound now. The ground, if it can be called that, is more like a slow-moving wave of soft earth. Every few meters, it sighs upward in a gentle swell, nudging you along. You don't fight it. You don't lead. You let the earth take you wherever it wishes, and it feels like being danced with by a memory. A small pagoda floats into view, anchored by vines that loop in the air like calligraphy. Inside, monks sit sipping something from bowls shaped like sleeping kittens. You're handed one as you pass, a small bowl with vapor curling from its lip. The scent is vaguely nostalgic, like the moment before a snowfall, or the first time you watched clouds race on a summer afternoon. You sip. The flavor is impossible to describe. But your mind unwinds like a ribbon. A monk leans toward you, upside down and smiling. "Some say gravity is a polite suggestion," he whispers, eyes twinkling. You both laugh, and the sound floats upward like balloons released in celebration. Then, without warning, but also without surprise, the garden gently flips. Not the whole thing. Just you. You're now drifting sideways, horizontal, as the trees below become sky, and the clouds above become the mossy floor. It's not disorienting. It's playful. Like the dream itself wanted to remind you that directions are opinions, not facts. You continue on your new horizontal path, arms outstretched like you're hugging the wind. Every few moments, a tiny breeze rolls past, wrapping around your fingers and leaving behind faint sparkles that evaporate with a giggle. A sign floats by, attached to nothing. It reads, "Here, even falling feels like rising slowly." You nod in agreement. Ahead, a swing made of vines hangs from a drifting boulder. You sit, and it carries you not forward and back, but in slow, spiraling orbits. With each turn, your view shifts, from garden to cloudscape to night sky, and back again. It feels like time has been braided into a slow-motion waltz, and you're the guest of honor. Eventually, the swing slows on its own. You step off, and gravity politely reassembles itself around your ankles, but it's gentler now. It doesn't press. It simply follows you like a sleepy dog. The garden begins to thin out. Trees fold their branches like they're bowing goodnight. Pebbles return to their beds of moss. Even the upward rain seems to stretch and yawn before fading into a soft mist. And you? You breathe in and feel your body hum like a well-tuned lullaby. You're not sure where you'll go next, but you know it will be softer still. You drift through a pocket of silence so full it hums. Not a void, but a presence, rich, velvet, thick as warm dusk. Ahead, the clouds peel open like slow-moving curtains, revealing the next terrace, carved along a cliff of pure air and bathed in the hush of falling sound. Welcome to the place where thunderfalls sing to sleeping birds. At first, you only hear it, a deep, round tone pulsing in the distance, like the sky clearing its throat very, very gently. As you draw closer, the tone multiplies into a melody, a slow cascade of notes, like rainfall on enormous crystal bowls. Then you see them. Waterfalls. Dozens, no, hundreds of them, pouring not downward, but sideways across the open sky. Long ribbons of liquid twilight stretch across chasms, cascading through the air without touching earth. Each falls in slow motion, as if reluctant to hurry. You move toward one, and it sings to you. Yes, sings. Each thunderfall hums its own lullaby, a tone so low and soft it vibrates in your chest like a second heartbeat. You step closer, and mist kisses your skin. It smells like petrichor and sky fruit, fresh, crisp, and just a little sweet, like a lemon remembering how to dream. The air here is cooler, wrapped in pockets of fog that trail around your legs like curious cats. You reach out to touch the waterfall nearest you, and it pulls back playfully, only to wrap around your hand a second later like warm silk. A monk floats past on a boat made of woven wind and bamboo. He waves and gestures upward. You follow his gaze, and there, nestled high among the drifting cliffs, are nests. Not ordinary nests. Sky nests. Each one is suspended in air, cupped gently by ropes of breeze that knot and tangle like lullabies woven into fabric. Inside every nest rests a bird, each one in deep slumber, wings folded, beaks tucked, feathers softly glowing in pastel hues of sunrise. The birds don't stir. Not even as waterfalls sing beside them. You float higher, carried by a platform made of whisperwood, a rare kind of cloud tree that grows only where songs settle into mist. The surface bends slightly beneath your weight, but it never cracks. Instead, it hums a note of recognition, like a chair sighing when a friend sits down. As you rise, a small flock of dream cranes spirals around you, long-necked, glowing, each trailing ribbons of soft sound in their wake. One glides close and nudges your cheek with its warm, misty beak. It smells like ink and wind chimes. You smile, and the crane blushes a faint gold before drifting away. Higher still, the mist parts to reveal a terrace carved from petrified cloudstone, etched with runes so old they've become poems. A long table stretches across the space, and upon it, monks are carefully pouring thunderwater into bowls shaped like open hands. You're invited to sit. A place is already waiting. Your name, though you never told it, is carved into the air above your seat. As you settle in, the chair adjusts itself, firmer beneath your thighs, a gentle curve behind your back. Comfort redesigned mid-sit. Before you is a bowl, and inside it, liquid chimes. Yes, liquid chimes. They glow faintly and pulse with rhythm. One of the monks gestures, drink. You lift the bowl. The first sip tastes like the exact moment you realize you're safe. Like warmth returning to your fingers after winter. Like being understood without having to explain. The sound in your ears fades, not to silence, but to stillness. Every worry you've ever mistaken for a song dissolves into the background, and what remains is the clear tone of simply being. A bell rings in the distance, 3 times, soft and wide. All the waterfalls shift pitch, as though they've turned their heads toward the bell and nodded in greeting. A new melody begins, woven between the streams, floating through the terrace like embroidered breath. You realize that you're not listening to the waterfall music. You are it. Your breath matches the rhythm. Your thoughts, slowed and few, dance gently with the notes. You are, for a moment, both song and silence. Echo and source. One of the monks walks over, a tall figure, with cloud-colored robes and bare feet that hover just above the ground. He carries a scroll and unrolls it in front of you. There are no words. Just a single symbol, a spiral made of wind. He points to it. Then to your heart. You nod, though you don't yet understand. Or maybe you do, in that quiet, sleeping part of your mind that remembers how stars feel when they first blink awake. The monk bows, then places the scroll into your hands. It melts gently into mist and wraps around your wrist like a bracelet made of story. The waterfall behind you suddenly pauses, just for a breath. In that breath, all the birds in the sky nest stir at once, blink open their eyes, and coo a single, harmonious note. The sound wraps around you like a soft scarf. Then they sleep again. And the water continues falling, sideways. You stand. And walk forward. The path leads between two ribbons of thunderfall, mist curling around your feet like sleepy children asking to be carried. The air shimmers with every step. You don't know where you're going. But you're ready. Because now you're not just dreaming. You're part of the dream itself. The terrace behind you closes gently, as though folding into a page turned softly in a book of sleep. The mist, still warm and resonant with the lullabies of waterfalls, thickens briefly, then parts to reveal something colder, clearer. You've arrived at the scroll room of eternal snowflakes. At first, it seems like a dome of glass. But then you realize it isn't made of anything solid at all, just ice and memory, layered together until they hold shape. The walls ripple faintly with shifting light, and when you look closer, you see that they're not walls at all but frozen air swirling so slowly it feels motionless. A monk stands at the entrance, his robes embroidered with flakes that seem to rearrange themselves with each breath. He doesn't speak, only lifts one hand and gestures for you to enter. Inside, the temperature cools, not uncomfortably, but like stepping into a room filled with secrets whispered long ago. The scent here is unlike the terraces before. It smells of winter tea, of parchment soaked in starlight, and something gently minty, like snow that only falls during dreams. The floor is smooth and glistening, but doesn't slip beneath your feet. Instead, it cushions you, like snow freshly fallen yet somehow warm. All around, floating snowflakes drift through the air, not falling or rising, but hovering in elegant stillness. And each one is writing. Yes, writing. Tiny, crystalline shapes spiral slowly, etching symbols into the air as they move. They don't use ink or pigment, only light, refracted and shimmering, letters formed by refractions and dream logic. You pause to watch one flake that spins particularly close. It draws a single character, a curling script that looks like a hug turned into a question. A scroll unrolls beside you, appearing from thin air. On its surface are hundreds of those glimmering snowflake scripts, layered and glowing, a language not meant to be read aloud but felt. You place your palm on it, and the scroll breathes. You feel warmth spread from your hand to your chest, your shoulders, even behind your eyes, where the tiredness hides. And then, suddenly, you remember an old feeling. The hush of snowfall outside a window. The flicker of candlelight on a bedtime page. The silence of a room full of people breathing gently together. You exhale. And the snowflakes around you pulse softly, as if saying, "We heard that." A soft chiming echoes from the far wall. You walk toward it, your steps light and echoless. There, in a cradle of mist, hovers a book, not bound in leather or string, but in silence and ice. It opens to a page that writes itself as you watch. You are made of what the stars whisper. And sometimes they whisper rest. You close your eyes and nod. Another monk appears beside you, smaller than the others, with eyes like silver pebbles and a smile that hums. He carries a brush made of frozen moon hair and dips it into a bowl of nothing. Yet when he waves it in the air, symbols bloom, gentle, circular ones that rotate around you and drift downward, disappearing as they touch your skin. You don't need to ask what they mean. You are what they mean. He paints one more symbol. This one glows longer. Then it floats into your chest and dissolves into your breath. Kept for later, he says with a grin. His voice is like footsteps on snow. When you're awake and the noise forgets to be kind. Then, with a wink, he steps back into the snowlight and vanishes between the swaying scrolls. In the center of the room, a sphere of frozen air spins slowly, casting beams of refracted color across the dome like northern lights in slow motion. You're drawn toward it, not pulled, just invited. You step closer, and as your fingers graze the surface, you hear the faintest sound. A lullaby. Sung in a voice that is yours, but not the you of now. It's a version of you from long ago. Or far ahead. Or perhaps just one that lives inside the quietest part of your mind. The song isn't in words, but you understand it. It says, even stillness is a kind of journey. Even silence is a place you can go. The snowflakes around you spin faster now, joyfully, like they're dancing just for you. Then, gradually, they slow. Some settle gently on your shoulders. One rests on your nose and melts instantly, not into water, but into a tiny laugh. You begin to float upward again, slow and natural, like the room is exhaling you into the next chapter. The scrolls drift away, folding themselves into little paper birds that flap softly before dissolving into pale sparks. The dome begins to dim, not darkening, just fading, like a thought falling asleep. And as you ascend, you carry something with you. Not in your hands, not in your pockets, but in the softness that's wrapped around your heartbeat like a blanket pulled just right. You drift gently down into dusk. The colors here are different, richer, deeper, tinged with the kind of violet that only appears after the last note of a lullaby has faded. The sky stretches endlessly in every direction, tinted in shades of twilight and promise. A bridge awaits you. Not a rigid thing, not made of stone or wood, but of silk, long, flowing, woven from threads so fine they shimmer with the memory of moonlight. It stretches across the horizon like a ribbon flung from one dream to another, swaying ever so slightly with the rhythm of the breath you don't even notice you're still taking. You step onto it. Your feet make no sound. The silk molds to your steps, soft, warm, giving slightly under each toe as though whispering, yes, you belong here. The breeze that greets you is gentle and smells of chamomile steam and distant thunderclouds that never quite decide to arrive. Far ahead, the bridge curves upward, cresting like the back of a sleeping whale. Below, there is no ground, just a slow-turning sea of stars, churning lazily in soft spirals. Some blink at you. One waves. You wave back without questioning it. You walk slowly, unhurried. The bridge does not demand pace, only presence. Around you, silk lanterns float, each one tied loosely to the bridge's edges by invisible threads of wind. They bob gently, casting pools of golden-orange light that stretch and melt into the air like candle wax in zero gravity. Each lantern holds something different. One contains a bell with no clapper, yet it rings in your heart. Another holds a cloud the size of a breath, gently raining rose petals. A third floats beside you and shows a flickering image inside, a memory that isn't quite yours, but somehow still makes your chest ache in that beautiful, sleepy way. Above, monks on distant terraces raise their hands in greeting. Some hold long fans that catch the breeze and paint slow arcs into the sky. Their silhouettes are still, peaceful, like punctuation in the paragraph of the horizon. You reach the bridge's highest point and pause. The air is thinner here, not in the breathless way, but in the clear way, like the space around you has been carefully emptied of worry. A monk stands at the crest. She wears robes the color of plum wine and twilight, her hair piled high in a bun shaped like a swirling galaxy. In her hand, a spool of moon silk spins gently, feeding the bridge behind you, repairing it as you walk. She smiles. Every step remakes the path, she says softly, winding another thread through her fingers. Every pause is sacred. You bow, and she returns it with a nod so small, it's like a sigh you feel more than see. As you continue your walk, a cool wind begins to rise, just enough to make your thoughts lean gently inward. The silk of the bridge flutters beneath your feet, not threateningly, but as if reminding you that the line between falling and flying has always been one of trust. A joke floats through your mind, seemingly from nowhere. Question: what did the dreams say to the waking mind? A: don't worry, I'll leave the light on. You smile. The bridge approves. A nearby lantern winks in solidarity. You notice that some of the threads holding the bridge are musical. As they tremble in the breeze, they emit faint notes, harmonizing with each other in a way that feels older than melody. It's not a song you could hum, but one you remember somehow, as though your soul heard it long before your ears knew what to do with sound. The bridge begins to slope downward now, gently, easing you back into gravity's tender embrace. The stars below draw nearer. You realize they aren't stars at all, but memories shaped like stars. You can almost read them if you let your eyes relax just enough. You recognize a few. The look in your mother's eyes after a fever broke. That one time the rain fell sideways, and it felt like the clouds were in love. The quiet thrill of saying nothing and still being understood. Each star is a tiny floating journal, sealed with softness and tied shut with threads of light. At the bridge's end, the path opens onto a quiet platform, shaped like a hand cradling a pearl. The silk threads dissolve as your feet touch this new surface, vanishing behind you as though saying, "You've arrived. You no longer need us. Rest now." A monk waits, seated on a cushion of air, fanning himself lazily with a leaf bigger than his head. He gestures toward a cushion beside him. You sit, and he hands you a small cup made of moon petal. Inside, a single sip of cool, sweet liquid that tastes like freedom from needing answers. "Some bridges lead forward," he says softly, "and some simply carry you back to yourself." You nod, and the silk behind you flutters one last time, like a curtain closing at the end of a gentle play. The monk beside you smiles faintly, as if he's been waiting a long time for this particular silence. He takes a slow sip from his own petal cup and leans back slightly, resting against the nothingness with the confidence of someone who has never fallen. You lean too, and to your surprise, you don't fall either. The air here holds you like a hammock spun from hush. A low chime pulses beneath your skin. Then, the yawn comes. Not from you, but from the space itself. The terrace ahead stretches, twists, and sighs like a room full of sleepy giants. Everything elongates gently, the air, the clouds, even the colors. They ripple out like taffy being pulled by invisible hands. You've entered the room of endless stretching yawns. The floor undulates like a soft wave of velvet sand, and your steps make the most delightful sound, like sighs stitched with giggles. As you move forward, everything around you begins to yawn. Really. Yawn. The pillars stretch upward, bending slightly like sleepy cats arching their backs. Curtains of wind ripple in slow motion, parting and curling with the sound of long, luxurious yawns. Even the sunlight stretches through the mist in lazy streaks, like it's trying to reach you but isn't in a hurry. You feel your own spine respond. First a twitch in the shoulders, then a gentle tug down your back. A deep yawn of your own pulls itself out, uninvited but welcomed. You cover your mouth politely, out of habit, and hear a laugh from the ceiling. "You don't have to hold it in here," the voice says. "Yawns are sacred." You smile. Everything in this room seems made to lull. Long cushioned benches form circles and ellipses, each one slowly expanding and contracting, as though breathing. Overhead, swirls of soft air puff in spirals like sleepy galaxies, releasing warm bursts of lavender and cloudberry scent. A monk floats by horizontally, arms outstretched, toes pointed like a drifting dancer. His robe flutters behind him in a trail of faded lullabies. He hums a single note, and the air around you shifts to match your heartbeat. The room seems to respond to sound, molding itself around the softest breath, the faintest exhale. You say nothing, but the quiet between your thoughts makes the walls sigh in satisfaction. You lie down. It just feels right. One of the benches beneath you curves into a nest shape the moment you touch it. The cushions form a dip under your knees, a slope for your shoulders, and something small and warm presses gently behind your neck, maybe a pillow, maybe a friendly cloud with good manners. From the far end of the room, a group of monks gathers. They begin a stretch together, arms floating upward, fingers wiggling as if conducting a sleeping symphony. You follow their lead. You raise your arms. You twist gently left, then right. Your body responds like it's been waiting centuries to move just like this, not for exercise, not for performance, but for pleasure. For release. The air thickens momentarily, holding you like water in a warm lake. Your joints pop softly, like rice crackers snapping in a slow-motion cartoon. No pain, just release. Your body is letting go of its ideas about how it should be. You roll your neck. A breeze giggles and tousles your hair like a teasing friend. Another monk approaches and hands you a length of fabric, gossamer, weightless, printed with crescent moons in various stages of yawn. You wrap it around yourself, and it settles with a sigh. There, the monk says, voice like a warm sock. Now you're dressed for the dream within the dream. You nod. Your legs feel like they're learning how to float, and your arms, well, they're not even trying to do anything anymore. They're just being. The fabric breathes with you, fluttering gently with every inhalation. From above, great translucent bubbles drift downward, each one large enough to sit in. Inside, you see brief flashes of resting places, caves made of hammocks, libraries that read you to sleep, windows looking out onto storms that never start. One bubble drifts close. You step in. It closes softly, sealing you inside with the scent of bedtime and jasmine. The interior is padded with memory, pillows that seem to know exactly where your ribs appreciate support. A screen appears across the curve of the bubble, displaying nothing but a slow panorama of a field of blinking stars. You lie back, and the bubble begins to float. It doesn't rise. It doesn't fall. It drifts. Slowly, gently, guided by currents you don't need to see or understand. You press your hand against the side and feel vibrations. The room is still yawning. But now, it yawns with you. Your thoughts stretch themselves out and take a nap on the floor of your mind. Even your breath seems to whisper, "Why not now?" And so you close your eyes. You don't fall asleep. You drift into rest. A monk's voice follows you like a soft thread tied to your heel. The body sighs. The air replies. And the mind forgets why it ever worried. The bubble slowly fades. The room hums one last stretch. And the yawn becomes the world. You emerge from the bubble not by stepping out, but by slowly realizing it's no longer there. Dissolve like a dream dissolving into a deeper dream. You float forward, lighter now, your body a lazy swirl of intention and air. The sky has changed. It's nighttime, but not dark. The sky is painted with deep indigo and hints of bronze, glowing faintly like the inside of a secret kept under velvet. A wind passes, not sharp, not cold, but filled with memory. It brushes your cheek and says nothing, but you understand it anyway. You've entered the place where sky lanterns drift like memories. The terrace unfolds like a giant scroll written in silence. Long, gentle walkways ripple beneath your feet, shifting subtly as you step, as though deciding where to go based on your most unspoken wishes. Above you, lanterns. Thousands of them. Not just lights, not just paper and flame, but soft globes of memory, drifting slowly through the sky like lazy stars too polite to stay fixed. Each one glows with its own hue, peach, teal, rose gold, deep umber, and each holds something inside. You raise your eyes. And see you? Not you now, but flickers of you. A lantern drifts low and hovers beside your shoulder. Inside it, an image, you sitting in your childhood bedroom, drawing stars on a fogged-up window. The flame flickers, casting shadows that blur the memory's edges, making it feel warm. True. Sleepy. The lantern gently bumps your arm, and you feel a quiet jolt of joy. Like bumping into an old friend in a dream. Another one drifts by. Inside, you napping on a train as the world whips by. A hand, someone's, resting gently on your knee. You never did ask whose it was. But it felt like home. You continue walking. The sky deepens. Lanterns trail behind you now, forming a tale of lived emotion. None of it hurts. Even the sad ones glow with a kind of forgiveness, as if time has soothed their edges into lullabies. You pause beneath a lantern shaped like a flower bulb. It pulses with a pale green glow. Inside, a moment you didn't know you'd kept. You, much younger, standing barefoot in rain, hands outstretched, laughing without knowing why. The rain was warm. The day was meaningless. But the joy was absolute. A monk joins you silently, his robes catching the lantern light like water reflecting stars. He carries a long brush made of wind and memory, and begins painting symbols into the air. Each symbol becomes a lantern. Each lantern contains a dream. Where do they come from? You whisper. The monk shrugs gently, then taps your chest. Leftovers, he says. From when you were too busy to notice you were living. You exhale. The wind catches your breath and lifts it. A small flicker glows in front of you. Another lantern, forming from your own exhale. It floats upward, and inside you see a brand new memory forming, you, here, right now, smiling. The monk smiles too. Now you see. Further along, you reach a reflecting pool. But the water doesn't show your face. Instead, it mirrors the lanterns, dozens of them floating in the water, perfectly still, glowing softly like dreams waiting for their turn. A small paper boat floats into the pool's center, carrying a single white flower. It glows faintly, then lifts slowly into the air, becoming another lantern. The terrace begins to rise. Not suddenly, but gently, as if it's sighing upward. The path beneath your feet curves into a spiral, taking you through higher winds where the lanterns drift more freely, more boldly. You notice some don't float away. They hover close. One pauses in front of your chest and doesn't budge. You peer inside. A future memory. You, sitting in your room, awake but calm. A candle lit. A fan humming. You are listening to this very story. Smiling softly. Remembering this dream and letting it stay. The lantern bobs once. Then rises. Slowly. As it fades, a wind wraps around your shoulders like a shawl. The monk beside you nods once more. Some memories don't fade, he says. They find new shapes. He raises a hand, and the lanterns above you part like a school of glowing fish, revealing the stars beyond. But the stars are not stars. They're ideas. Some shaped like lullabies. Some shaped like forgiveness. Some shaped like rest. And one, shaped like you. You watch it blink. Then close your eyes. You feel full. But not heavy. Carried. But not lost. Another breeze rolls in, and with it, a whisper. You don't have to hold every memory. Just the ones that hold you. You open your palms. Two small lights rest there. You don't remember catching them. But you don't have to. You let them go. And they rise. You walk onward through the hush, your thoughts fluttering like pages turned by wind too gentle to disturb sleep. The path beneath your feet dissolves into soft mist, and you're gliding again, quietly, effortlessly, carried by some unseen current of trust. Then a sound. Not sharp, not sudden, just certain. A low, resonant chime that ripples through the sky like a whisper wrapped in velvet. You don't just hear it. You feel it, vibrating through your chest, curling around your ribs, echoing in the back of your spine. The air shivers. And ahead, the mist parts. You're drawn into a clearing of stillness where a single celestial bell hangs suspended in midair. No rope, no frame, just there, like a thought the universe decided to keep. The bell glows faintly from within, a pearlescent sheen that shifts colors like breath, lavender, silver, pale gold. Every few heartbeats, it hums again, once, gently, as if testing its own existence. A monk waits beside it. He is tall and slender, cloaked in layers of starlight so thin they ripple with his every breath. His hands are cupped, holding nothing. Or perhaps everything. You approach the bell. The monk nods toward it but says nothing. You reach out, not because you must, but because something inside you wants to listen more deeply than ears can manage. Your fingers graze the bell. It rings. Not loud. Not soft. Just whole. The sound pours through you like warm tea through a glass body. It spreads, tucking itself into places you didn't know were tired, your knees, your shoulders, the folds of your thoughts. And then, most miraculously, it keeps ringing. Inside you. It doesn't fade. It settles. Your breath aligns with the bell's slow vibration. Your pulse slows. The air around you seems to pause and nod in respect. The monk finally speaks. One ring, one echo. You look at him, questioning. He places a hand gently over your heart. You will carry it always. When the noise returns, this will still hum inside you. You nod. Of course. He gestures for you to sit. And so you do, cross-legged, grounded in cloud and calm. The bell hums once more, and the monk begins to move, not walking, not dancing, but flowing. His arms curve through the air, sketching soft arcs that shimmer faintly as they hang. With every gesture, a light appears, a shape born from sound. A memory? A dream? No, something simpler. Peace. Pure and shaped like feathers. The monk continues, now painting figures from mist and music. You see a woman holding her child. A fox curled in sleep beneath a pine tree. A boy skipping stones across a frozen lake of stars. Each form shimmers, nods at you, then fades. The bell hums again. You close your eyes. And there, in the soft dark behind your lids, the sound expands. You feel it touch your thoughts like fingertips across piano keys. Each note a reminder. Each pause a comfort. It speaks without words. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply tired. And tired is allowed here. You open your eyes slowly. The bell now floats above you, spinning lazily like a sleepy planet. The monk is gone, but not really. His presence lingers in the air like perfume made of reassurance. In front of you, a path appears, woven from golden threads pulled from the bell's light. You rise. Each step pulses with quiet sound, your feet matching the tempo of your heartbeat. And beneath that rhythm, the bell's echo sings. You are safe. You are seen. You are held. You reach out your hand, and the echo vibrates against your palm like a small, purring creature. You cup it. It becomes a tiny star, and without hesitation, you place it into your chest. It becomes part of you. A warmth. A center. A quiet that will never leave. As you walk forward, more bells begin to appear in the mist, each smaller, softer, but all harmonizing with the one inside you. A constellation of sound, a universe of hush. Somewhere, very far off, or very deep within, a voice murmurs. Not every silence is empty. Some are just full of healing. And you? You walk on. With a bell in your bones. And silence blooming in your breath. The sound fades. Not gone, only tucked away now, inside you, humming like a sleeping cat curled beneath your ribs. The air has changed again, grown silken and tender, and with it, the mist beneath your feet begins to tighten, twist, and braid. You watch as the sky threads itself. From the horizon to your toes, strands of soft white light stretch and weave, forming a staircase that shimmers like moonlight stitched into air. You take your first step onto the staircase woven from moonsilk threads. It doesn't bounce. It sighs. Each footfall releases a low, warm exhale, as if the steps are gently grateful to be stepped on. The silk threads shift beneath your soles, readjusting just so, aligning themselves with your balance, your posture, your breath. You are walking upward, but not with effort. It feels more like being welcomed. Like the sky has invited you higher. A monk waits at the first landing. His robe is translucent, shaped from woven dreams. He smiles and nods, then takes a single thread from the staircase and passes it through his fingers. It glows, then dissolves into a string of blossoms, white, luminous, weightless. He offers you one. You accept it without words and tuck it behind your ear. The petal is warm, and the moment it touches your skin, your whole body settles another degree deeper into peace. You climb. The stairs narrow and curl like a nautilus shell drawn by wind. To your left, the clouds open briefly to reveal a field of lanterns below, tiny dots of memory still drifting where you'd been before. You smile and wave at them, and a few flicker brighter in return. They haven't forgotten you. To your right, stars spiral inward, pulled by a quiet force you don't need to understand. They dance in slow orbit around a center made of hush. Some are familiar. Others are promises. You pause halfway up, where the stairs flatten into a small resting platform. A low table awaits, set with fruit that looks carved from opal and steamed with starlight. A cushion rises to meet you, and you sit without thinking. Without deciding. The fruit glows faintly. One piece tastes like almond milk laughter. Another like sleep on a rainy afternoon. A third like the pause before someone says, "I understand." A breeze rustles through the silk beneath you. And then, something unexpected. You hear your own voice. Not speaking. Singing. Softly. It's coming from a lantern nestled in the hollow of the staircase. The flame inside flickers in sync with your heartbeat. And the melody? It's one you never knew you knew. But now, here, it comes to you like an echo traveling home. A few monks gather on the outer edges of the stairs, their robes flapping gently in a breeze that seems to carry thoughts instead of air. They listen. Some hum along. One closes his eyes and smiles like the tune is a secret only the stars and sleepers remember. The staircase begins to move again, not because you rise, but because it carries you now. It curls upward like a ribbon caught in a slow breeze, lifting your weight without demanding anything in return. You lie back. The threads cradle your body like memory foam spun from kindness. Above you, the sky unfurls in layers, first indigo, then silver, then the pale blush of early dawn. But the sun never rises. It only watches. Like it, too, respects the stillness of this space. As you ascend, the breeze picks up, twisting threads of moon silk into faint images. You, napping in a forest of whispers. You, floating on a stream of melted candlelight. You, sitting alone, at peace, and feeling full. Each image dissolves as quickly as it forms, like a dream winking just before you catch it. But something remains. A feeling. A knowing. That all versions of you, tired, laughing, still, uncertain, are held equally in this stair-threaded sky. At the final landing, the staircase comes to rest in front of a gate made entirely of braids. Threads woven together, tight and soft, embroidered with symbols that pulse like quiet affirmations. You step forward. The gate recognizes you. It unravels itself gently, becoming a doorway, an embrace, a lullaby in architecture. You pass through. No push. No pull. Just invitation. And on the other side, there is no landing. No terrace. Just a vast, infinite plain of quiet. The threads of the staircase dissolve behind you, and the bell in your chest vibrates once, lightly, lovingly. A voice drifts in, not from outside, but from within. You have climbed. You have drifted. Now, you simply are. The plain stretches endlessly. Not made of land. Not made of sky. Just presence. A horizon without edges, painted in tones of quiet so deep they feel like the inside of a held breath. You take one step forward and the ground beneath your feet ripples, not like water, but like light gently surprised to be touched. There is no wind. Only stillness so complete it hums. And in that hum, a figure appears, not suddenly, but like ink rising through paper. He's seated cross-legged on a floating cushion of woven air, his robes folded neatly around him like origami shaped by centuries of rest. The sleeping master monk. He does not speak. He does not stir. He only breathes. But with each breath, something beautiful happens. A ring of soft vapor pulses out from his chest, like a stone dropped into the still lake of the atmosphere. The vapor touches the plain and blooms into faint images, moments of stillness you've felt but never held long enough to understand. You approach. The air here is warm, not hot, just perfectly matched to your skin, as if the environment itself has decided to be you for a while. As you draw closer, the images become clearer. A hand being held on a hospital bed. The quiet before you opened your eyes as a child on your birthday. That 1 hour where everything felt okay and you didn't even know it. The monk's breath creates them, but they belong to you. You sit beside him. And somehow, that act feels more important than all the drifting, all the floating, all the climbing you've done so far. It's the stillness after the stretch. The exhale after the echo. He does not open his eyes. But somehow you hear him speak. Not aloud. Not with words. But with being. And you understand. You've arrived. You never left. You've been dreaming inside yourself all along. The space around you bends, just a little. Not to close, but to wrap you. The way a soft blanket does. Or a song that ends but leaves the melody lingering in your body. The monk inhales. And this time, the vapor he exhales forms a circle of stars. They spiral around you slowly, humming softly in your bones. Not a song. Not even music. Just the feeling of being known by something that needs nothing from you. You lie down beside him. Not because you're tired. But because lying down feels like the most truthful shape your body can take in this moment. The ground cradles you. The stars float above. And the monk? He breathes. And then, he whispers, not in words but in thought. Let go. And you do. Of time. Of form. Of even the dream itself. You feel yourself expanding, not outward but inward, into something so deeply peaceful it doesn't even require definition. Just being. Just stillness. Just you, unweighted, warm, and entirely enough. The monk exhales again. And the stars begin to slow. Then settle. Then flicker once. And hold. You are held. Forever? No. Just long enough. The bell in your chest hums one last time. A slow, golden tone. And everything rests. Now, the journey folds in on itself. The mist drapes like velvet across the sky, and the stars dim to a sleepy glow. The last of the lanterns blink slowly, some dipping below the horizon, others curling into your thoughts like small, warm fireflies settling down for the night. You don't need to rise. You don't need to remember. You only need to be. The terraces, the monks, the drifting koi, the echoing bells, each one nestles into a quiet corner of your breath, content to be part of the hum that now lives within you. And as you breathe in one last time before drifting deeper into sleep, you feel something gentle wrap around your mind, a hush made from everything that ever forgave you, ever waited patiently, ever told you. You are already enough. Let your hands soften. Let your jaw relax. Let the weight in your chest melt into stillness. You are floating in the dream's final cradle now, wrapped in all that is good and slow and kind. And if, perhaps, the waking world calls you later, know this. The bell is still inside you. The stairs are still waiting. And the master monk will never stop dreaming beside you. So rest, wanderer of clouds. Sleep easy, whisper of light. And let the sky finish the lullaby you started. End of script. Sweet dreams.